Laid back Mickey here. Today I am going to go over the 21 triking tips that I know at 55 that I wish I knew at 45. Tip number 1 is check your tire pressure. There's nothing worse than going out on a ride and having low tire pressure. You get drag, you could get pinch flats. For these tires, 50 to 60 PSI will give you a nice, comfortable ride. But when you get lower into that like 20 or 30 PSI or no air at all, that's a terrible ride. And tip number 2 is keep your feet on the pedals. You gotta have some sort of foot retention, some way to make it so your foot doesn't slip off and you roll over it, sprain or break an ankle. That's not a good idea. You want either clip-in pedals, so like I use a clip-in shoe where it clips into the pedal, or you can get a heel strap, and that's usually like a Velcro strap that goes around the ankle, and it makes it so that your foot doesn't slip off the pedal easily, and so that you don't roll over your ankle. That's not fun at all. And so usually that would happen if you hit a bump or something like that, and your foot pops off. And as we get older, we get like sometimes neuropathy, or maybe we're just not focusing on the pedal. When you're on a bicycle, you have downward pressure, but when your feet are out in front of you, they need some way to make sure that they don't pop off the pedal easily. And then tip number 3 is make sure you lean into the turns. You gotta treat a bicycle or a tricycle kind of like a motorcycle. When you turn into a turn on a motorcycle, you lean. Same thing goes on a trike. Wherever your weight is, you're gonna go. So if your weight's to the outside, it will want to tip over. If it's on the inside, you're gonna turn in that direction. And that's usually when you're going faster. If you're going on a straightaway and you're not going very fast, you don't need to lean because you're going straight. But if you're turning, especially turning on a downhill turn, you wanna lean into it and then shift your body weight that direction if you're going faster. The slower you go, you don't really have to lean that much. And the next tip is what I call ABS, always be shifting. When you're riding and pedaling down the road, you should be shifting for different terrains. So if you're coming up to a hill, start to shift into easier gear. Or if you're going too slow, go ahead and shift into harder gear. But you should always be shifting. Now some trikes, like the MVLO automatic shifting, will do it for you. But if you have a regular gear shifter, you need to be shifting for harder or easier pedaling. Especially when you come up to the hill, shift into easier gear before you get to the hill, so you should always be shifting. Tip number 5 is go ahead and brake equally. So if you just do one brake, you're gonna steer that direction. That's called brake steer. We wanna brake with both brakes at one time because our brakes are in the front on a tadpole recumbent trike. So when the brakes are in the front, you need to brake equally. Otherwise, you're gonna steer in whatever direction you brake on a single brake. And tip number 6 is to find your comfortable cadence. A cadence is how many rotations you get per minute. And so I like to keep about a 70, 75 cadence, so 75 full pedal strokes while I'm pedaling. It's a nice smooth cadence. Now, a fast cadence like a 90 would be a lot faster, and a slow cadence would be like a 50 or maybe a 60 cadence. And that could put more pressure on your muscles, building up lactic acid in there, which will make you not be able to ride as far. So if you have a nice smooth cadence, you're pumping blood through your heart and you're getting a good workout, but you're not stressing out your muscles and your body. That way you could ride longer and enjoy the scenery, enjoy the ride. So tip 7 is to go ahead, relax in your seat, and use your headrest when needed. So you don't use a headrest 100% of the time. Otherwise you'd be like bounce, bounce, bounce. You wanna go ahead and use your headrest when needed. So like when I'm going up a hill, I usually have my headrest, about an inch away from my neck. And then when I'm going up a hill, I lean up against it. And so you want to use your headrest only when needed, not all the time. Unless some trikes, like the Cat Trike 700, you're probably going to use it all the time because you're laid back so far. But on other trikes, most of the time, you're only using it when needed. And tip number 8 is go ahead and use your mirrors. I usually keep 2 mirrors. Some people go, I only need 1, but I like to see 360 all the way around me. Kind of like a car. Back in the 70s, we only had 1 mirror on a lot of cars. But by the 80s, every car had 2 mirrors. Same thing goes with a trike. We want to be able to see all the way around us. and you want to be adjust them so that you could see who's coming up alongside you. And also when you turn, your mirrors are going to change a little bit. So 2 mirrors help a lot. Okay, and tip number 9 is to go ahead and plan your routes. And the reason why you want to plan your route is, well, for a couple reasons. One, it could be how much water do you bring? It could be like, do you bring snacks? It could be, do you know where the restrooms are? And that's one of mine is like, I need to know like, how far till the next restroom? You know, as we get older, you get me. And so plan your routes so you know where you're going, where the stops are, maybe where the lunch break is going to be. And so like my wife and I, we like to go to this restaurant about halfway on our ride. Secret tip number 9.5 is if you need any extra little add-ons for your trike, go ahead and go to laidbackcycles.com. Tip number 10 is stay hydrated. You know what? I don't drink a lot when I go out, but it's good to have water when you need it. So always take water with you. Usually on a trike, we keep it right here by the boom. Some people will keep one on their seat or in their bag, but always keep some water with you. And tip number 11 is make sure you wear a helmet. When I go riding, I always wear a helmet. People go, do I have to wear a helmet? Well, in most states, you don't have to unless you're below 18 years old. But it's a good idea. I say only wear your helmet if you want to keep your head. Other than that, hey, maybe you don't want to. And tip number 12 is to inspect your trike regularly. You want to inspect for loose nuts, bolts. You know, the trike is on the road all the time. It's bouncing, it's moving. You want to check your quick releases. You want to make sure your rack is not loose. You just want to check to make sure you have air in the tires. You want to make sure the chain is lubed. Check your trike over regularly and your trike will last a long time and you'll be safe and you'll enjoy your ride. So tip number 13 is make sure you're visible. So on the back here, I have a bright flag. That's yellow. Yellow or orange is pretty bright, or red. Also, having a tail light helps to be visible, especially if it's dark outside. You want something to say, I'm right here. And now the blinkies can go up to 450 lumen or above. And those rear lights are really bright. They help see way before the car is getting there. And ride in safe places, right? But stay visible. And tip number 14 is join a community. Like at Laid Back Cycles, we have a community of riders that you could go to, like our Facebook page, and you can find us there at Laid Back Cycles. But join your community, your local community. There's different meetups and different Facebook groups that you can actually join and ride. It's great to ride with others. Plus they keep you motivated to ride and to stay healthy. And tip number 15 is to bring your phone. Bring your phone with you in case something happens. In case like you get a flat tire and you didn't have any tools, or in case you get hurt, or in case you get hungry and you want somebody to bring you Uber Eats. But bring your phone with you. But also make sure you don't keep it in your pocket when you're riding because it can slip out. So I usually like to take a phone holder or put it in the back of my bag. Something easy so it's always with me, but take your phone with you. And tip number 16 is to make sure you get a tune-up on your trike every year. A lot of times, like with the motor systems, whether it's Bosch or Shimano, they have updates to their motors. Every year they're doing it. And so you want to update your motor so that it becomes efficient and it lasts a long time. Also, you want to keep your trike tuned up so that if you have something worn out, it doesn't wear out your whole trike. So a worn chain can wear out your sprockets, but if you catch it before it's too worn, your sprockets may not wear out as fast, or you can keep them for a much longer time. But a tune-up helps keep your trike maintained and safe, which is very important. And tip number 17 is to make sure you balance your cargo. I carry this heavy chain, and so that way when I lock it up in the city, nobody steals it. And so you want to make sure that if you have a lot of weight on one side, you kind of balance it on left and right of your pannier bags. That way, when you're going around a turn, you don't get tippy. And so if you balance your cargo, it just rides better and is safer. And number 18 is to go ahead and adjust your seat angle. Adjust it for comfort. And so like if you're laid back really far, you also want to adjust your headrest and your seat angle. And if you're leaned forward a lot, you could feel like you're sliding out of the seat. And so I like to lean a little back, kind of like a reclined chair, not way back, but just where it's comfortable and I'm not slipping out of the seat. And number 19 is make sure you have the right add-ons. So some of the add-ons that I have on my trike, one is my cool little bell, 2 is my air horn, 3 is my extra little phone holder or my camera holder. Keep all the cool stuff on your trike that make it more comfortable to ride every day, especially a water bottle. They're pretty cheap. A water bottle and water bottle holder is gonna be a lifesaver. But yeah, put all the cool little add-ons on your trike to make it more comfortable to ride every day. And here's a really important one, number 20, is to make sure you store your trike in a very accessible location. So make sure you don't put it all the way up in the rafters if you want to ride it every day. If you want to ride it every day, put it on the ground, put it on the side of the house, or put it in the garage, or bring it inside to where you can take it out through the door and ride every day. Wherever it's going to be accessible and easy to ride. I keep my trike and my wife's trike in the garage, on the floor, ready to ride. And tip number 21, we finally made it, is to go ahead and ride longer distance and ride more often. The more you ride, the healthier your body's gonna be. The longer you ride, you're gonna build up that endurance and make it so that your body will last for a longer period of time. That's what we want. That's why we love cycling. That's why we love exercise, is to make sure that our body stays strong and healthy. And I feel so good when I get outside and start riding. It just makes my body feel healthy and fit. I feel good about my day.